Yeah, hi, Jeff Prentice. I had somebody ask me about typography, a beginning Photoshop user. So, what I wanted to do here was go through a couple of basics that I would present to beginners on typography. Whatever we'll look at a few historical references, very minimal, but just things to keep in mind. So, when I think about typography, first of all, before we even get into Photoshop, I mean, you can go to a place like 1,001 free fonts, right? And you can see there's 3D, there's animal, Arabic, Army, stencil, Asian, bitmap, pixel. A lot of these are going to be kind of related to a decade. Like this was good in the 90s. You see Army stencil, all the time in specific applications: comic, computer, calligraphy, brush, handwriting. So here's the thing to think about. You don't want to put on your bright red checkered suit with your little pork pie hat and go strutting down the road, in your purple beetle boots or whatever. I mean, think about, let's go over here. When I think about fonts, I think about historically Émigré, a group that revolutionized typography when the Macs came out. Look at all their stuff, especially their old stuff. David Carson, a contemporary of them, one of the most famous graphic designers in the world, and responsible for the look of so much of what we see around us in terms of manipulating images and typography. Please go to his site and check him out. Very important. Émigré Spiekermann I bring up because I just love FF Meta. Now, for those of you beginning typographers, you've got Arial, you've got Helvetica, you've got sans serif, and then you've got serif, which is like Times and New York. And, you have to look into the history of serif versus sans serif. But I would err on the side of modern. But what I was going to reference here is that, you look at Helvetica, Arial, and Meta, and to the neophyte, you'd go, well, I don't know, they all look the same. But look at this G. It's just a lovely G. I just really love this font. Now, let's see here. Now, I would also, I'd tell everybody, just go to Design Boom. There's design aerobics, competitions, interviews, art, architecture. And, look at their typography. They've got a really interesting display font. Here's another thing for beginners. A display font. Something, if we go back to these, a lot of these retro, where's grunge, graffiti, a lot of these are going to be thought of in the sense of like maybe a logo, maybe, a secondary headline or something. But look at the body font. Sans serif, Arial 9, Arial 10, Arial 11, whatever. Okay. And then also just look at what the well-designed people are, what they're doing. Light gray, black, sans serif. I just don't see a lot of serif fonts in there. Now, so what I would recommend doing is taking a look at these people and kind of emulating them maybe. I mean, here you've got some, well, we don't want that one, we don't want that one, we don't want that one. I mean, we want maybe this one. All right, so first of all, actually, the person I was talking to was my brother. So we were talking about manipulating photographs. I mean, for whatever reason. Now, what I'm using here to select this background, it's, again, the more solid the background, the better. But use your magic wand. And notice that the tolerance, you can set higher or lower. So if it's grabbing too many pixels, set that lower. Okay, now, we were talking about manipulating photographs. I probably should change the resolutions of all these, but I'm not going to. Let me paste this into the sky of this. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do a select all, which is Apple A, Apple C, which is copy. We go over here. Now watch, we do an edit, paste special, paste into. And that's where you can you know, paste that in, which looks kind of cool actually. Wow, okay. So things to think about here. The quality of your selection. That we have a little hairline around here. You can always zoom in, and you know, maybe in another tutorial I can show you how to fix these edges and stuff. But for right now, let's just say you had a fairly clean selection and you've got these two together. Boom. All right. So let me get back to typography. Now, typography. Click on your text tool. You notice the spinning wheel there? And I'm still here, waiting. Here we go. All right. So, looking in from the corner there. Text tool. We got Arial. Let's pick Arial. Now, make sure you have anything other than none. None is alias. It's going to be really jagged, and it's good for some fonts, maybe your pixel fonts. But for this, pick any of these: sharp, crisp, or smooth. All right. Now think about, you know, if we're talking about contemporary design or we're talking about advertising, or you know, I mean, here we have a dark background, and let me show you something that maybe David Carson would do. Hold on. Here we go. And there we go. All right. I was having a problem getting my type tool there. Let's type something in. Now, well, you know what? Before we do that, now if you're going to print this out, keep in mind the image size. You know, when we shot this with the iPhone, it's about 45 inches by 34 at 72. I mean, let's say you wanted to change that to 150, which is your minimal print. So you're going to have, well, I'm sorry, I should have put constraint proportions on there. So here you're going to have, there we go. At 150 DPI, you're going to have a 21 by 16 print. All right. So let's do that. Now let's use our text tool, and let's go over here and select something. Now, this is way too small, 5 point, for something that big, right? There's 72. Let's say, let's call this San Diego Bay, which, you know, pretty boring, right? And we're in Arial, okay? Now, here's kind of, and I really apologize to David Carson for this, but you know, if you want to get into some stylized kinds of artistic application and readability, someone might say that there is still readable, and it becomes a design element instead of some kind of message. And then maybe down, oh, I don't know, we go back, you know, here. Well, and remember, we can change the size of this font. Okay, up here, I'm going to select just a few of them and make that really small. All right. So, San Diego Bay. There we go. Change up in scale is the bottom line here. You want large scale and small scale, and even to the point to where you could do something like San Diego Bay, you know, maybe my initial there, right? And let's take it up much bigger, and I mean much bigger, where, you know, the question is, can you break it? How big can it go? You know, that's the fun thing about digital tools in Photoshop. Now, opacity changes, the numbers on the top of your keyboard, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So there's 10% opacity. 20%, 10%. Let's go 10%. All right. So San Diego, J. And then finally, well, you know what? I'll leave you with that because now, well, let me add one more thing. Canvas size. Because we're talking about display fonts, which, you know, we've kind of been using. and just some regular. Well, I didn't really want that, but that's fine. Actually, that might work out. Let's change the image here, image size. Let's make this, let's go to 72. Just more comfortable there. We'll do something radical here. All right. So there's our more of our web format piece. Now, okay, so display fonts. For example, this is Arial, but keep in mind, if I go down to my text tool, let me reselect font. Okay, let's look at my fonts. Artisan's a really nice font. Of course, it might help if I selected that while I was doing that. All right. Well, it's pretty blown up there, isn't it? That's not so good. Well, we'll move on. Base 2. Now, here, let's see. Base 9 is an Émigré font. Look at that. That's just beautiful. Base 12, an Émigré font. Let's go to, here's one you don't want to use, Comic Sans. It's just really silly looking. Courier is a standard monotype, you know, like a typewriter font. Here's Émigré 8. This is something where you could change the aliasing to none to get something crisper. All right. So FF. Now, as far as looking through mine, you know, of course I love all the display fonts. I mean, have fun with them. But just like, you know, some things you don't leave the house. You know, I mean, download as many silly and wonderful display fonts as you can. Here's a classic. But don't necessarily use them in public. What I was looking for here was the commercial, maybe. It's good to have a selection of commercial fonts with icons. And I think I was looking for Emperor. So I'm going to leave you with that. Obviously, you can change the opacity of text by hitting those keys. You can change the color, okay, by clicking on your text tool, clicking on, you know, and you can actually use your eyedropper here to select a color. So if I want a slightly warmer white, you know, something like that, I can do that. And keep in mind that now that I've selected that color, maybe I'll select that color. Oh, that's kind of nice. I can go down here and desaturate and brighten up and you know, what have you.